Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Bros. Trevor here, joined by Sam. And today we are talking about The Bikeriders, which is the latest project by Jeff Nichols. And it is it's based on a photography book about a biker gang in the Midwest, particularly in Illinois. Represent my place. Um, and it gives the illusion, I think, of being based on true events, but it is purely fictitious, just inspired by a picture book. Which I think is a fascinating, like, a very interesting process and adaptation there. But I don't know. This one actually surprised me a lot because I was expecting it to be kind of nothing and boring, and I actually had a good time.
It wasn't boring. I still think it's nothing though. Like I took away nothing from the film. Like I really don't remember much about it and I saw it 2 days ago. There's nothing wrong with it. There's also nothing right with it.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I don't know. I do think that has a couple issues, but also a couple strong points. I think it really rides off of the cast being quite good.
I think Austin Butler is so cinematic. Like
He's a
his
movie star.
presence
Like,
is very movie star. And
I like Glenn Powell, but the way that people are talking about Glenn Powell is the way that we should be talking about Austin Butler. And I don't even like Dune 2 that much. Famously, like, I don't even love
yeah, I don't
Elvis as a
either.
film,
Me
but like,
neither.
that man is a movie star.
Yeah. I think it's just because Glenn Powell's in a lot more things.
Yeah,
But
probably.
Austin Butler really radiates a lot here without doing much. And
Mhm.
it's great. Like Jeff Nichols knows what to do with him. Like the cinematography when he's in it feels really cinematic and awesome. Jodie Comer, I see what she's doing, and I looked at the video of the woman she's playing, and I think she did a good job. But maybe this is personal. I found her voice kind of irritating. Like it was grating, and I didn't really like the way she sounded. Like it kind of got on my
Yeah,
nerves.
I
And
don't know. That's a bit more of like a personal
yeah,
anecdote.
but
Like,
when that is the whole time in my ear, like I'm
sure.
not going to enjoy it. And then Mike Feist kind of underused.
Yeah, so I'll get into that in a second. I did like what Tom Hardy was doing though. Like, very good facial acting.
Yes, yes, I
Very,
agree.
like, plays it
He was
excellent,
probably
like
the best
quiet,
performance. Like,
reserved. Yeah.
yeah, I think so too.
So, but I mean, yeah, Austin Butler for me definitely the standout here. And it's really going for, like, it's very strong pastiche of, like, the things like Easy Rider is even, I think, directly referenced in the film as
It
kind of
is.
like this cultural landmark, as the turning point, and it kind of mirrors, like, as that was going on with film, as we see the rise and the fall of this biker gang, and not even the fall of the biker gang, it's just kind of the dissolution into an actual gang and not a club.
Yeah, definitely.
And as this kind of new wave of kind of crime, organized crime in a way, is kind of being taken over, and we see the transition of power throughout the film. And it feels like a very American film to the core. And despite my distaste for a lot of things American, I love films that explore Americana and the ideas of America and, like, American identity, because I think they're very fascinating to critique. As previously stated, not a huge fan of America. So it's something that I want to explore in my own films, is just like the concepts and constructs that are, wrapped up in being American and everything. And I feel like this plays a lot with those ideas through the microcosm of this biker club.
Yeah, I think that if you want to watch a movie directed by Jeff Nichols about a shifting American psyche
Yeah,
and an Americana, it's sort of cultural landscape, watch Loving. It isn't
sure.
about like late 60s, early 70s, which is my favorite sort of period of shifting history,
Same.
but it's about like late 50s, early 60s. And I think that film is much more effective and way more focused. It also has like two like really good performances in the center. Like Ruth Negga in that movie is amazing. Like she does so much better than anyone in this movie. So I think you should watch that. I also think you'd really like it. It's pretty reserved and
I need to.
quiet.
I want to get more into Jeff Nichols stuff.
I think you'd really like Loving, and it's my favorite film of his. Like I really liked it. But side note, like I just think that he's done it better, and other movies like Easy Rider and Alice's Restaurant from
Yeah,
the 60s do it better. So this doesn't really need to exist, but I
it's
appreciate.
interesting, as, like, it's interesting that it exists though in a contemporary landscape.
Sure, I just don't see who this movie is for. Like,
Yeah.
is it for people who lived during that era who want to
I can't
reminisce?
see anybody loving it, but I would have a hard time finding somebody who would, like, actively dislike it, I guess.
No, and to me, that's honestly kind of worse because it's so middling. And
Sure, but
I don't
I
know.
don't know. I think that there is a lot to enjoy about it. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's not
genuinely
boring. It's very engaging. It's well paced. Like the
yeah,
cinematography
and
is
it's
nice.
the type of thing where, yes, it does it feels kind of in the middle between focused and unfocused because we have this, like, kind of framing device with Mike Faist, and he's interviewing the people, and particularly Jodie Comer's character, he's interviewing her for the book, and we kinda have the creation of the book as the framing device for the entire film, and that's the lens through which it's being told. But then we kind of lose sight of that framing device, and then we go off to other points, and it feels just very unstructured and not in a good way in those points. Like, it can't really commit to an idea. Like, I genuinely think this film should have been like a 3-hour epic or be cut down to 90 minutes and just
That,
be tighter
that,
and way more focused. But
yes.
I would have like happily stayed in this film for a 3-hour epic. Like, I think it really builds out the world in a nice way.
I don't know if I would have stayed for 3 hours. That's too much. Watch Woodstock. That's like 4 hours. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it would have been like a masterpiece or a great film or anything, but I think it definitely would have potentially improved it if they wanted to go for that scope, which I feel like is kind of being alluded to in the text a bit, where it wants to explore these bigger things, and it just feels like they're getting passed over slightly. So it's far from perfect. There's a lot of structural issues with the film. But at the center of it, I really do like the play. You know, again, it's working in these American, ideals into this microcosm where you have Austin Butler being pulled between Jodie Comer and Tom Hardy, and it's a little bit homoerotic, just a little bit. And it's kind of this love triangle between not necessarily people, but between ideas, I think, that are being
yeah,
represented.
I think we have the same issues with this movie. You just enjoyed it a lot more than I did.
I just had a good time. It's also very funny. Like
And it's actually kind of shockingly violent at points.
Yeah, yeah, but I feel like the violence is funny in a way, and, like, I don't know, I think it also just, like, portraying, like, men in this way and, like, how men find culture and identity, because culture typically comes from oppression, right? And being a middle-class white man, you aren't going to find a lot of oppression to form a cultural identity out of, which is why a lot of, white men who are middle to upper class feel like they're very drifting and have no culture or identity to latch onto. And they typically create like some sort of like false culture to feel attached to it. And this is an interesting way of something that did seem to start out as kind of a healthy culture for to congregate and meet and everything, and how it was slowly taken over by these younger white men who did feel aimless and drifting, and like they didn't have any cultural identity to latch onto. Which is just, again, a broader thing with America, where white men feel like they don't have any culture because they are given a lot of things. Upper class white men, middle upper class white men are given that, and then because of not having to deal with struggles, then it becomes this toxic thing. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just it falters where it could have been a lot stronger, but I do think it's a very fun time. Like,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
totally
something
fair.
that I would easily recommend to people.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't really have much more to say. There isn't that much
No,
to say about this film other
it's
than
light.
fun movie, had a good time. It's a bit slight, but like not the far from the worst thing that I've seen in a theater this year.
Oh no, of course not.
So I'm feeling like a pretty solid 7 on this.
5. It's just in the middle, you know.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Basically, that's how I felt about Quiet Place. Just, but those are our thoughts on the Bikeriders. I'll have a review for Fancy Dance coming up, as well as Horizon. Got Maxine next weekend, a Linklater tier list, plenty of fun stuff, and our first Oscar predictions of the year. Now that we're halfway through the year, we have some films out. Will be a good time. So make sure that you stick around for that. Until then, thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe and goodbye.